Hey everyone, welcome to Aussie Footy Chats, episode 17, Port Trade Chats. Today I get to talk about my football club that I support and who I go for, and the time that I represented them with my colours to my right, and obviously my Barracan colours at the moment. So I'm going to treat them fairly. I'm going to treat them no differently to all the other clubs. So let's get into it. So Port's season this year wasn't that good. They didn't finish inside the top 8. It was Ken Hinkley's last season as coach, while they were transitioned into Josh Carr for next year. So he'll take the reins for the upcoming season, Josh Carr. So on Ken Hinkley's last season, they had a lot of injuries, a lot of star players out due to injury, a lot of impact injuries, resulting in probably the club's largest amount of surgeries. That being said, they lost Todd Marshall earlier in the year with Achilles injury and Sam Powell-Pepper with an ACL, which may be longer term injuries. But outside of that, the club's pretty healthy and they'll be back playing this upcoming season. Now that gets into the trade. So let's talk about the first club Port Adelaide got in with their trades. So Cory Durans was involved in a three-way trade with three other clubs. So we'll talk about Carlton gives a second round pick and Cory Durans to the Port Adelaide Football Club, while Carlton receives pick 67 and Ben Ainsworth. Gold Coast gives up Ben Ainsworth and also they received pick 29. So that sort of delves into the trade that was done during the trade period for Cory Durans and what picks were involved and what clubs. Cory Durans is a small forward. He is 23 years old. He's a high pressure forward who can sort of mark above his head for quite a small guy and has good pressure acts. So we'll just read about, so he received a Rising Star nomination in 2022 where he collected 19 disposals, 8 contested possessions, 5 score involvements and 2 goals. Also in the same year, Cory Durans won Carlton's Best Young Player award. And he played 16 games over 2025 and earned himself 2 Mark of the Year nominations. So he's come into the list, and I'll just talk quickly about what Jason Cripps has said. That's Port Adelaide's list manager. So the trade assists with our overall strategy of prioritising and increasing in the national draft capital for 2026, which is next year's draft. And also, Cory has expressed his desire to return home to South Australia. He's obviously a South Australian native from South Australia. So we saw it as a great opportunity to add some depth to our forward line group. He's strong in the air and at ground level, and he's a good balance of offense and defense in his game. We look forward to welcoming Cory to Alberton. So welcome aboard, Cory. With the retirement of Willie Rioli, shout out to you, Willie, mate. You're one of my favourites. I didn't want to see you retire, mate, and I know you're up in the Northern Territory playing football at the moment, and I hope that's gone well. Just like to congratulate you on your career. I really liked watching you play, mate, and yeah, you were one of the favourites. He was a small forward with excellent goal sneak, and yeah, just like to say thank you for your career. So, Cory Durans elected to go home, and he'll come straight into the lineup, and it'll be a hard place to spot with Willie, but yeah, he'll come in and take Rioli's spot and play as that small forward, pressure acting forward, good above his head. And we also build up some draft capital for next year in 2026, which is going to be an interesting year for the Port Adelaide Football Club. And I'll talk a bit about, Cory. We'll keep on Cory at the moment. And so he'll come into the lineup. He'll virtually start straight away. I think it's a good pickup for the club. We needed that extra small forward with one of our players retiring. And he's only young, 23-year-old. He's got a bit of experience now. He has played for Carlton for a while. And I think the comments that I read from Carlton fans, they quite liked him and thanked him a lot. So yeah, I'd like to just thank the Carlton fans for that, because they had showed that they really cared about him, and thank you for that. So he's now at the Poilade Football Club, where he'll join in this season and get to know his teammates, and hopefully has a long career and can play into his early to late 30s. So yeah, that covers the trade and what they got for him. And I'll just quickly talk about the next trade. So Will Brody from the Fremantle Football Club. Port gave up pick 103, which is a very late pick. Will Brody has not been playing much football the previous year. He spent a lot of time in the Waffle, in their reserve side over in WA. He was from Fremantle. He had a breakout year in 2022 where he played quite well, and Josh Carr was actually over there as a midfield coach. So he knows Will Brody quite well. He's a inside mid. It's just a bit of size to him. Can collect the ball and also be a run-with player and be a bit of a battering ram for the team. I'm not too sure what happened with him at Fremantle, whether he had a fallout with Longmire or just was not in Longmire's best team, how Longmire viewed his midfield and etc. So, yeah, he didn't play him for the year, and he was averaging 30-odd touches, a goal a game, quite solid numbers, and performing quite well. So a lot of Fremantle fans could have been upset that he wasn't playing. They elected to play some other players. He's a bit older, but not too old. He's sort of above that sort of bracket of above 27, I think. So in between now or over 25. So he's a mature sort of age, body and player with a bit of experience. I believe he was at Gold Coast before and then got traded to Fremantle, and he's been at a couple of clubs now, and now he's at the Poilade Football Club under Josh Carr, former assistant coach of his at Fremantle. And Port didn't have to give up a lot. Whether Fremantle should have maybe offloaded him last year and got something better, that's sort of what I mentioned with Fremantle's podcast. But now he's at the Poilade Football Club. They did get a pick for him, so it wasn't like they delisted him and then he walked essentially for free. They did get a late round pick, although 103. And you don't see that essentially done much, picks that late. So, he's now at the Poilade Football Club. They'll have a role for him either in the inside of the midfield or on the wing to act as another inside mid coming through the wing, or play a tagging role. I know William Drew does that quite well at Poilade, but he's also a good player to add into depth, whether we get injury with William Drew or other players. So let's see how that sort of goes. And so, Will Brody is now a Poilade football player. So that covers a couple of their picks, in their trades. Sorry about that. My Roma has just heard a noise. So she'll be okay. My partner's down there. And so Cory Durans, Will Brody, and also they got Jacob Ware through free agency. He elected to leave the GWS Football Club. After being there for a few years, he was premiership player at Woodville. GWS elected to pick him up as more of an older player, not a younger sort of player. And now Port Adelaide have him as a mature player coming over and through the free agency. So now they have Jacob Ware come here. He's obviously a wingman, half-back with good speed and left foot and great skills. And Port Adelaide needed that since we've lost Dersma and Dan Houston off the half-back and on the wing. There's those two positions that are opened up. We need someone that can run and carry the football. And I think Jacob would be good at that. And he's had a bit of experience at the GWS Football Club, who have played finals and been about the mark for the last few years. So he's been around a pretty successful team. And that being said, he's come over to Port Adelaide as running wingman or a running half back. And some of his highlights are quite good. And so I think as Port's list is quite young and a lot of stages, we have a lot of young players. And we've added in a bit of experience through Will Brody, Jacob Ware, and also Cory Durans, who's still quite young himself, but he's got experience that he can add to the list. So I'll just go through some of the extra notes here, just to make sure I cover it all. And that's essentially who they brought in. The Power have added a 2026 pick that was tied to Cohen, a second round one. And they have all their retaining picks for 2026 and 2027. So they traded out a few of their picks to get picks for next year. And also, just to cover the trade, we also kept Zach Butters, which is the guy just behind my head. That one there. It's a bit hard to see him. There we go. So he's star player who comes out of contract this year, and they've kept him. There was a bit of talk that he may have asked to get a trade, but that was knocked back and could just be rumours. And he's up for free agency next year. So he's one of Port's highest paid players. I hope he personally stays. I think he's a bit of the heart and soul of the club. He's fan favourite, one of my favourites, and especially one of my close mates. He's one of his favourites. And so Butters, just shout out, mate. We love you at the club. You're vice captain of the club. A well-respected man, and I would love you to stay, mate, and I'm sure you probably hear that a lot from all the fans and everything, and it would be great for you to be one club player. I know that's rare these days, and I hope Port offer a great deal with money. I know they were talking about that. They're going to offer a pretty good deal for him, and that will force the other clubs to match it. And so, we get Butters for at least one more year or till he signs another contract, hopefully. So, they kept Butters. They brought in 3 players and retained their picks for draft capital next year and the following years. So, the reason why they've retained these picks is because they're using draft capital next year because we're looking to get academy players, Dougie Cochran. We're waiting for the AFL to confirm that. Now, Dougie Cochran plays at Central Districts in the SANFL. Debuted in his first game. I'm not sure if he was 17 at the time. But debuted, kicked 4 goals in his debut game. Quite a bit of size on him. And he moves as sort of a centre forward or half forward. And he's still got to fill out into his body. But he played a ripper of a game to debut. Kicked a couple goals in the SANFL finals where Central's played in the finals. And looked really good. Can actually kick a long ball. It's good above his head. It's good below his feet. His brother is also on the Port Adelaide list and debuted this season. And looked really good. He is the first player in the AFL to play AFL with Tourette's. So congratulations, mate. To do this is a great testament to you, mate. And I thought you played great when you were in. Unfortunately, had a stress fracture in his foot, I believe, and missed the last bit of the season. But I thought his pressure accent around the ground. He's a small forward, so a bit different player to Dougie. And his dad also played at the football club in the early 2000s. So didn't quite play enough games to register as father-son. So we have to get Dougie Cochran through the academy. So we're just waiting for the AFL to rubber stamp that. I'm not too sure why they're taking so long. It would be good before the draft so Port Adelaide can actually understand and know what they need and what they're looking for. So just AFL, please, can you rubber stamp that through and just do the right thing, because every other club tends to get their players. It's very rare that you hear it knocked back. I don't know why it's taken so long. And I don't know the whole full protocol under it, so it might take time for that to happen, whether it's towards next year or not, I'm not too sure. So, yeah, we'll find out the details on that and we'll get back to that. So, yeah, there's a protocol they got to follow. The AFL's got to rubber stamp it. So, Dougie Cochran is supposed to be the potential number one pick next year. He's supposed to be very high on the draft. Still has to play his under 18s next year. So, I expect him to do quite well for the state. For South Australia, after the South Australians won the title this year gone. So it's looking like it'd be pretty cool if South Australia under 18s can go back to back and win both titles and show that this state is producing some really great football talent. And shout out to all those players for representing the state. You've done a great job. And also to Tony Bamford, former coach of mine at Port. I'd just, like to say thank you to you, mate, because you're doing a great job. You're obviously a great coach and you're developing South Australian talent and you're putting them on the map. So that's very important. He looks to be $100 million. He's going to be a great player. And I would really love my club to get him. So this year, going back to the draft capital that they built, they're got some picks into next year to build that capital up, like I've explained in my previous podcast about the drafts and free agency and trades. Our clubs will pick up and produce points for the draft so they can elect to bid on the player that's been bidded by other clubs. So if he goes really high on the draft, which is expected to him to be number one, what he's done already, his debut game, he's kicked goals in the SNFL in the SNFL finals, so that covers him quite well. So he's going to go early in next year's draft. I expect him to probably be number one. So Port Adelaide have needed to build up that capital for him. Also have some father sons coming along, Roden and Salopek, and their dads played for Port Adelaide, and they're expected to be pretty high on the draft too. So those players are going to come through the pool soon and they'll be playing for South Australia, I'm assuming, or which state they're living in. So more talent to the South Australian side once again, while also having the ability to pick up father-son players, which they've elected to do, and they're building the draft capital up for that. And so that leaves Port with picks 49 and 85 for this year's draft. I wouldn't be surprised if Port can bundle those two together, and whether they offload to get like a pick 50 or something and actually not even use any picks in this year's draft, or unless their list recommend that they do that. They might have spots they need to fill, so they might need to use those numbers. But I do believe that they'll combine those picks together and offload them for a pick for next year, if they can. So that's my tip on those picks. There is talk maybe they might use one for Calamachi. That's available in the preseason draft. And I know Adelaide are looking at him, so I expect him to probably go to Adelaide, and we'll use this to build up draft capital for next year. That would probably be what the club's looking for, unless they need to add a player. But I honestly think they'll look at Archie. With Pau Pepper being injured, he could easily just slot in as that half-forward sort of role like that. Bit of a different player, but also a bit similar in ways too. A big-bodied half-forward. Can throw a bit of weight around. Sort of similar, but Pau Pepper's a bit more of a ball, I would say. But quite similar player. And so Pau Pepper's out with the ACL for most part of, at least half of the start of the season. So, so that's their picks and what they're going to do. I know they're looking at playing Todd Marshall down back as key defender. And, the young Ram down there, I know he's going to be a young key defender. With Radic Alir as well as Alir. And Leek Alir from GWS. Obviously, I explained how the fallout happened with all of that. I wasn't too sure if Port were looking at him or not. I just mentioned a few of young key defenders and also the key defenders we have that are mature age players. We sort of have that bit of the field covered. So unfortunately, yeah, it probably wasn't the right time to go for Lee Kalia. And we didn't quite have the picks. I mean, I could have used pick 49. But yeah, GWS elected to keep him. So that just covers that a bit because he's from South Australia. And yeah, that's the players that Port have got. That's the picks. And I'm just explaining a bit about the roles of some players this year. And the star players in Butters that they've kept. And also adding in a wingman / halfback as Jacob Ware. I think he'll be a good addition. Will Brody, a big-bodied midfielder. I think Port needed that because we've had a lot of impact injuries this season. And I believe a big body in there just to add in to protect Rosie and Butters, who they go about their business they're quite a strong player, but obviously Rosie's more of an outside, but he can play on the inside. But yeah, predominantly on the outside. I mean, him and Butters are those sort of hybrid players that can do everything, but especially on the outside, great skills, both of them. And you want to capitalise on their speed to get out of contest. You have Horn Francis, that's an inside ball. He's going to be another season older. So I feel like if you can get Will Brody to come in there and try to protect those two and add to a bit of strength to help out Horn Francis instead of him just carrying the weight and be an extra battering ram for him essentially. So that's been a lot of inside mids this trade period. And yeah, Port Adelaide have added to that sort of list of players. And Cory Durans, who's a small forward, who can come in and have an instant impact for Willie Rioli. And he's still young. Jacob Ware's a bit older, Will Brody's a bit older, but yeah, as I've said, we've got a lot of young players. And Joe Berry, a small forward, he's going to be second season of football. He's a high draft pick from last year that was involved in the Dan Houston trade. It's going to be another season older, so yeah, we'll build them up. And yeah, hopefully, I mentioned a lot of the players there. And also Jaden Stevenson, that was ex-Collingwood player who was traded to North Melbourne. Rising star winner. And also, yeah, he's had a breakout season in that year. Played in the grand final for Collingwood. Unfortunately left. And then went to North Melbourne and yeah, he sort of retired for a year. He sort of lost the love of the game, which is sort of sad. Like I said, football's about a game that you love. And you want, every player who's playing to enjoy their game. And you want them to love the game. That's the most important thing about football, or all sports in general, is that you want to love the game and enjoy it. So, yeah, it was sort of sad to hear him, because North Melbourne struggled for a while. And he must have liked playing at Collingwood. And it's sad when you see that sort of fallout happen with a club and then moves on to North Melbourne. Played a few games there and just, yeah, retired because the lack of love for the game, and he lost the drive. He went back and played some club football, assuming he played with some mates, which you don't get the opportunity to do that at a high level of football. Regardless of what level you play, if you're playing at a high level, you make mates there, obviously, but when you're playing with your close mates that you grow up with, it's quite different. And I got the experience that myself, going from playing at a higher level and then going to playing with mates, which I really enjoyed, and that's one of the favourite things I've done. So I think he may have went back and played with some mates that were close to him. And yeah, got the love back for the game, which is the best thing you could hear. And I like to take a lot of positive out of things instead of always negative. So yeah, that's the most important thing, whatever grade you're playing at, that you enjoy it and love the game. And so Port Adelaide have elected to bring him on as a pre-season player who can be brought onto the list as a supplementary sort of pick. And so he's come over to Port Adelaide. Josh Carr has mentioned that he's happy to bring him on. They'd be silly if they didn't look at him and to bring him into the team. And he's got a chance now to break into the side and be a rookie listed player at the Port Adelaide Football Club. He's 26, I believe. Small forward, can almost be a running wingman. So it'll be interesting to see. There's a few spots, like I've said, with Rioli going out. We have some spots on the wing. I really think he could be a good wingman. If he uses, like, if you knuckle down, mate, and put some hard work in, you run hard, you do all the right things, do the right things in the weights rooms, craft your skills so you got good feet, good kicking ability, quick hands, and just do the right things and earn the respect of the lads and the football club and the coaching staff. There's no reason why they can't add him on. And we have a lot of young players. I did read a report from Fox Footy that they wrote that Port's list sort of under 23 or under 25, whichever one it was. Port's list was rated one of the highest for young players. So I did hear Kane Corn sort of mock a bit about Jaden Stevenson being bring on as a player to train there and be picked up, and thought it was a bit of a list clogging comment, and that's fair enough. That's his opinion, but I look at it. I can look at it two ways. I can understand his comment, but also I look at the comment that was made, and also how young some of Port's list is. We bring in a few experienced players of age, and also adding Jaden in through that is important. I think that only adds to our list. Personally, you can't have so many young blokes running around. You need a blend of older and experienced players. And I think Josh Carr's probably knew that and has accepted that, and has brought in Will Brody from Fremantle. So yeah, just that one quickly. Yeah, just want to clarify that sort of. Yeah, that's my view on that a bit. I think it's probably a good thing to bring him in. If he doesn't earn his spot, he doesn't get a spot. There's no harm in that. That you give a guy a chance, about second chances, and it could be one of the biggest redemption stories of 2026. So we'll keep that one posted. We'll see how he goes. We'll see. Yeah, it's up to him. It's up to you, mate, to grab that spot and earn it. And then that puts that background noise away. And he'll move on to be, a Port Adelaide Football Club player. I'm just trying to think of, I can add in also the delisted players that Port Adelaide delisted. I think that's important that we need to add that in as well. So I'll just get my notes of who was delisted. Ryan Burton, Lockie Charleston, Jeremy Finlayson, Hugh Jackson, Jed McEntee, and Dylan Williams. Ryan Burton got traded from Hawthorn to Port Adelaide. He looked to be one of the next rising young players when he originally got traded. I know he was quite upset that he was very liked at Hawthorn and enjoyed his role there. And they got I believe it was Wingard. It was part of that deal at that time. And he comes to the club, had a few good seasons. He was sort of a running halfback. Had a bit of height on him. Sort of could have played wing as well. Used to run down the ground and have a long kick from 50. Unfortunately, had a few injuries. The club elected to delist him. I know he's getting a chance at Carlton, apparently. So yeah, under Michael Voss. So he's probably spent a bit of time with him here before he went to Carlton. So yeah, he's over there now. I just wish him all the best, mate. You had up and down time at Port. It's a bit of a hard one. Since we lost Houston, I thought he could have maybe took that role. He did this year a bit, but he was just in and out. Sometimes his effort was questionable. Ken was up and down with him, would drop him sometimes. Just maybe lacked a bit of hardness at the ball. Probably probably the hardest knock on him there is, probably the hardness of the ball. He was more of a running half back. So, he probably needed to add that to his game. If he added that to his game, he may become a better player. And I hope, you get a chance at Carlton to prove that aspect of your game and, have a career at Carlton. So, also, Lockie Charleston, was a small forward that Port got a couple of years. He was a very late pick. Didn't play a game, just played in the reserves in the SANFL. And he struggled with cracking in the side. Obviously, we had a few really good small forwards, so he was on the list for 2 years and then was delisted. And I believe that he's playing at a local team in Victoria. He's Victorian. So hope you enjoy your footy still, mate, and can even try and make it back or play at your local team. There's nothing wrong with that. Jeremy Finlayson, who we picked up from GWS. Jeremy, I feel for him and what the struggles he's gone through with his partner with the cancer, and I just want to give a shout out to you and your wife, mate. I really admire what you went through with her battling the cancer as well. I admire her for battling cancer, and and also Jeremy sort of being there for her while also playing professional football, and and also her being there for him. It's sad. No one wants to see people have cancer, and it's obviously a hard one to talk about, and really just admire you and your family, mate, and what you all have gone through, and it's quite it's very hard. I just really wanted to give a shout out to you, mate, and your family, and your wife, and the club. He was on the list for a few years. Played centre half forward, and was also a stint in the ruckman. We didn't have a ruckman for a while when Scotty Lysett was injured, and it was a bit of a battle for him. He did go up forward and kick a few goals. Last year they tried to re-event him as a centre half back, and that didn't work. He was sort of thrown around, and then unfortunately lost a spot with Whitlock coming in and playing. Ken gave him a few games. Unfortunately, Finlayson's a bit older. I think he's nearly 30 or on that 30 mark. Played in the grand final, I believe, for GWS. Was quite a good player for GWS. Had a great time at Adelaide too. So and while all battling everything around him with his family, unfortunately with the cancer to his wife, and just put on such a brave face at the football club and while playing. And I think that's a testament to both you and your wife, mate. I really, I think just really wanted to say thank you for your time at the football club. And you've shown great resilience and professionalism at the highest level while, having all of that stuff as well. It's just, I just feel for you and your family and young children. So, to me, that is, a testament to you. Congratulations. I know I think you signed up with my Ponga Football Club, which is in the south of Adelaide. And, I hope you go out there, mate, and enjoy your football. Enjoy your time with your wife and your kids. I just really wanted to say thank you, and it's and very, very important for me to come on here and use this platform to say thank you to you, mate, and congratulations on your career at Adelaide. You should be proud. We loved you as a player, and all the fans support you, and your family, your wife, and your children. So thank you, mate. Hugh Jackson was on the list for about 4 or 5 years. He struggled to crack the side with obviously the midfield we got. He's sort of a smaller mid, bit of a half forward sort of mid. Played a bit on the wing. He played a few games this year under Ken. Kicked 1 or 2 goals. Couldn't really kick that far of the football. I I was supportive of him because he's a local product from North Adelaide. He was in the draft a couple of years ago. We got and just played a few games this year after being on the list for a while, and just couldn't quite make it. The club, his contract ended up coming up, and he's been delisted, and I assume he might go back to North Adelaide and be a good player there. And if you keep working hard, you never know. You could have an outstanding year. Someone could re-pick him up. But the club some fans were upset that he went, but I could see that there was other players that just essentially were more developed and younger. Since he's been on the list for 4 or 5 years, it's just unfortunately come to an end. And needed to be a permanent player by the time you sort of get to that position. And they've elected to go with some younger players with Dougie Cochrane and a few other guys coming into the football club through father-son. It's going to be harder for this spot, so the club's also got to look out to the future. Jed McEntee, he was a mid-season pickup a couple of years ago through the Sturt Football Club. Hard-nosed, small forward pocket sort of player. He'd be almost like your running, tagging forward line player who'd tag out one of the running running halfbacks, and sort of play a bit of a forward tagging role, which is important. He did that quite well. He had one game where he shut down Tom Stewart, and it was the first time in like 27 years that Port Adelaide beat Geelong over in Geelong. So it's pretty hard to beat Geelong on their home deck, and he was instrumental by shutting down Tom Stewart, and played a few games. He was very well liked under Ken, and just did his role. Wasn't the most known goal kicker, but he did sort of put a whole lot of hard yards in to be that sort of tagging forward, and he was tough. He was a tough tackler. He's a bit older now. He'd be over 25 or 26, I guess. And he's been delisted. I think he'll go back to Sturt and probably finish off his career. Whether another club picks him up, I'm not too sure. But I definitely know he'll go back to Sturt and play for Sturt. There's no reason why, and Sturt won the premiership this year. Now they get him back. I mean, there's no reason why Sturt are not going to be the favourites for next year too. And that leaves me with Dylan Williams. Dylan Williams was on the list for a while. Played like a half forward sort of role. Almost like a Cam Zerha from Kangaroos. Played a bit like his sort of role as a half forward in the early part of his career. He debuted as a player up there, and then was in and out of the side. Changed his game to like a half-back sort of role because he's got a good leg. And he played a few games. I think he played about 12 or 13 games 2 seasons ago, and sort of looked like he locked himself into a spot. Good ball user. Could play on a player, but some of his biggest knocks were that he wasn't quite fast enough. So that sort of, wasn't sort of fast enough for AFL standard or stuff like that. So he did go into the forward line in the SNFL team and was kicking a few bags of goals. Just reads the ball really good as a half forward. So he ended up moving back into that role, come back into the side later in the season when they had a lot of injuries, and played but didn't quite really knock the door down to keep his spot on the list. And played a few games, and then that was it, and Port elected to delist him. And that covers all of those players that have been delisted. I think he's playing for a local team over in Victoria. He goes back home. And that is the Port trade chat. And I covered, everything that I wanted to do there. I tried to be as fair as I could be, just like all the other clubs. And gave a bit of an in-depth talk about my club, the players, sort of the roles, and the trade and the free agency, who they've got in, and the roles that they can do. So I hope you've enjoyed it, Port fans and everyone that's watching. It's been a good one to cover. I really support the club, and it's my favourite club. I try to get to as many games as I can. And yeah, love the club and all the supporters. So yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this Port Trade Chats. Thank you, everyone, and enjoy. See you next time. Thank you.